Now, Mr. Michael Bishop, my replacement you are, the one that I told Dave, there's this kid from Hopewell, and his name is Michael Bishop.
Man. Bubs, good God. My name is Michael Bishop. Yes. April Fools! Fuck. I'm the original Beef King the Mighty. I played in Gore with Dave starting the summer before my senior year in high school, back in 1987 to around 1994. And, you know, we eventually went in different directions. I always counted Dave Brockie among my dearest friends, and I loved him very much. And I, too, never thought that I would be standing here doing this. Because he was just a life force. I mean, Chris, you know, I almost don't even need to stand up here. That was so awesome, capturing what Dave was. And Dave, to me, was possibility, man. Like this whole town, Richmond, looking at this place from Hopewell, Virginia. Like, you know, I talked with Dave a lot about death, because he was the sort of guy who would talk about death. Like, you could talk about things like that with him. And we talked about mortality, about belief, about the future. But ever since I came to know him, you know, I've been unable to imagine a world without Dave Brockie. And the good thing is that I don't have to. He was central to my knowledge and experience of the world, as he has been to so many people here today. And none of us, we don't have to imagine a world without him, because we had him. We had him. And for that, oh my God, what a gift that is. We had him. And the world will never be without him again. Ever. None of us will. And that's what matters. In those early days on the Guar school bus, man, you know, I want to talk to that. I want to speak to that, to my friends, man, puttering through the Mojave Desert, fighting over crackers at a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, passing the corpses of cows. And Dave and Chuck Varga, I remember distinctly him coming when we drove from Louisiana and we got to Texas. None of us had been to fucking Texas. And he's like, there's cowboys out there. Real cowboys on a horse and everything. You know, we were all such fucking bumpkins and geeks. Geeks, man. That's what we did. We played Dungeons and Dragons. Dave Brockie. So many times I've thought to myself, my God, what kid wouldn't give his left nut to have Dave Brockie as a dungeon master? And we talked about putting it in the obituary under the things he was. Dave Brockie, comma, dungeon master. So there we are, we're like hurtling through the night, you know, and to drive the bus, you were Captain Kirk. That's what geeks we were. And it became a verb, kirking. Driving was kirking. And every Kirk needed a Sulu, someone to navigate or to talk to just to keep them awake. And, you know, Suluing, it was all a verb. So I was oftentimes Brockie's Sulu. And I didn't even drive. I mean, I didn't have a driver's license. But we were just such unbelievable nerds, man. I mean, and Brockie, what I remember about about that night, and it's crazy because everybody who was on that bus, so many of them, they're here right now. Almost everybody. They're here right now on that bus that night that we're hurtling through and sweating and stinking. And I can still hear Brockie in the darkness looking out at the highway coming straight for us, singing Springsteen, Nebraska. The whole fucking album. The whole thing. In that a cappella, booming, utterly unself-conscious baritone. Through the badlands, and we're trying to sleep. I killed everything in my mind. I thought he wrote it. Just that moment, those questions, they were here. They were here. We got that. We're crying because we lost it, but we goddamn got it. We got it. We got that. Scott Craw, we got that, buddy. God. Fuck, we got it. Those moments, those questions, we talked about everything, but what we did on the bus, what I remember about the bus is dreaming and scheming about what we were going to do. And the people who are here today, you know what I'm talking about. I've tried to explain this again and again. I've never been able to explain it to anybody. That, that sense of possibility, that anything was possible. And after a show, we're hurtling through the night, and all we needed to do was think of it. I've seen in articles Dave tries to describe this. I've read him struggling with it. Spitballing, he called it. Holding up a mirror, a funhouse mirror to the world. And I guess that's right, just throwing out ideas. And the craziest thing of all was that they came true because of the people here in this room. They came true. Yes, let's have a giant ass that shoots out oatmeal turds. Do it. It's a green light. Go. So, it's real. You know that I'm not making that shit up. And I'm an academic now. I have to try to explain to people this shit. Can't do that. I gave up. One look, I live in fear of the day that they just read the lyrics to one song. I'm fired. So, but man, he showed me through example that whatever I wanted to be, it was in my power to realize it. That's what Dave showed. And he was our leader. There is no question about that. He was our leader. And he was a very good one. He did it under duress, the good times and the bad. He was a it sounds so trite to say it, but it's just true what he's saying, what Chris was saying. He was a motivator of men. And he saved me. That's what I'm trying to say, is that he taught me that it's not that I had this chance, that I was obligated to realize my potential. That it was my duty, that it was expected of me. And man, that's the kind of thing you say about a fucking drill sergeant at a military school, Oh, he did that, he made a man out of me. But he fucking did. And he did it fun. You don't notice when you're being made a man of by a clown like that. You don't notice it. So, to me, I remember distinctly him saying, so did you graduate? This summer, your ass is mine. And, Brockie, he was a big deal to me. I mean, coming from where I came from, this fat, tearful, little aspiring punk rocker and bass player and Hopewell, all I had was hope, just desire. And I needed direction. And Dave's band, that's the other thing I want people to understand, that, things were different, information was different. Death Piggy, to me, I recognized it the moment I saw it. I saw something that I could relate to, something that I could have, that I could do. I saw a way out. In my particular punk rock conversion narrative, Death Piggy and Dave Brockie himself, they were huge. I mean, those names, it's not like I made any distinction between Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Dead Kennedys, Death Piggy. You know, it was all the same to me. I mean, and the sound of that music, it sounded like anything was permissible, like rules were suspended. And, you know, I want to talk about music just for a minute because, and Dave's contribution, right? His mastery of the absurd. Even then, in Death Piggy, he was building a sort of world. And it sounded like a world that I wanted to live in. Bathtubs in space. Boners. Whipping around the bed. You know, and hope, I mean, it all just seemed like, you know, beyond me, from this mysterious world outside of my life. And when I got a chance to join it, I'll never forget it. How I stood with Dave right over here, right down here, man, at that point where there's a place in the triangle right by the dairy where there's like this weird triangle street. And I just remember this feeling washing over me that my life was never going to be the same again. And the guy who was next to me was Dave Brockie, you know? Here's a terrifying fact, you know? I learned to be a person from Dave Brockie, from being the war, and from all of these guys. These are my brothers, my sisters, and Dave could be a parent. He was a guardian of sorts. He protected me. He protected me from things people were doing. He protected me from Fat Lawrence, who used to run the Marvins. Remember that dude? Marvin. Yeah, he tackled Fat Larry. He tackled him because he was hassling me. And he was like, he is 17 years old. So, and, you know, I mean, but this a man of contradictions, you know, Chris was saying, like, it's just, you just had to give up trying to understand him and just take the world as he did, as one long, absurd, crazy, terrifying, hilarious joke. And you know, this is a guy who's saying, no more homo butt chain, or you'll get AIDS. Who created AIDS beer. He made sure that inappropriate, offensive references permeated every single thing that Guar created. Thus, creating a masterpiece of obscenity. And yet Dave loved his brother Andrew fiercely. And I remember that. I remember seeing, I almost didn't understand it. You know, he would become like a kid around Andrew, and the tenderness with which he spoke of this guy, how clearly Dave loved him. And when Andrew succumbed to AIDS, it hurt him. And he was creating about that. That's what he was doing. You know, he got a bunch of, a room full of metalhead kids to sing with him, I'm gay and I'm proud. No, he did that, man. He did that in 1992. Not now. The Funhouse Mirror, man. You know, in a time when people were ignoring that disease, characterizing it as a gay thing, Dave Brockie was talking about it. Gore was talking about it. And we did it our way, in a way that might have ruffled some feathers, but we did it. And, I'm so proud, man, all the time of that. I'm proud of all of it. What's that? Oh, yeah. You know, I said, and I will say here again, that Dave Brockie, the musician, the lyricist, the lead singer, he is seriously underrated. And I will go so far as to say that I have never seen a more vibrant, energetic, and quick-witted performer on stage. Vaudeville, bringing in Groucho Marx to heavy metal. That intellect, man, and lyrically, true poetry, and he hated fucking poetry, hated it. But he wrote it, man, and he wrote it, now, like years later, people are, there's a whole like movement of like, well, maybe poetry shouldn't be like fucking navel-gazing bullshit. He was doing that. And, his voice, he was a first-rate poet, and like I said, a past master of obscenity, and he used that to create meaning. He wrote so clearly and sang so passionately. His voice just so utterly unique. He brought to heavy metal music true poetry, true depth of feeling, and a broad knowledge, a very far-ranging intellect about history, about art. I can say, and he was a genius. He really was. He was a genius. Without question. And as a singer, the timbre of his voice, which is just, I can't replicate it, but when we went to the Grammys the first time, I remember that we saw him the first time. So many, I don't even remember what year it was. We saw Patrick Stewart in the Shriners Auditorium. We were in costume, Patrick Stewart. It was up on a balcony like this, looking out over, and it's LA, right? You see famous people, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's Madonna. No, she's always here. It's cool. Brockie. John Luke Picard! As I live and breathe! And what he said, what this guy said, like, he laughed out loud. He's like, ha! And he goes, someone should do Shakespeare. That's quite a baritone. And then Brockie starts fending through the crowd. He's trying to get to him. Patrick Stewart's like, absolutely no way he's going to talk to that big rubber monster. He didn't care. I want to talk just a minute in conclusion about, and Chris, man, Dave's generosity of spirit. He made things possible for other artists in this city. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to let bands rehearse for cheap. He didn't have to reach out to other artists to acknowledge them like he did. He gave so many people a sense that what they were doing was worth a shit, man. A lot of people. I've looked at the Facebook, Matt Connor from RPG, Dave Brockie, first person who paid me for something, Like, yeah. Jeez. But if you were trying to create, if you're trying to do something, he'd help you out. Chris has said that, and I agree. But without hesitation. He didn't even think about it. It just wasn't even an issue. So, Dave Brockie, you miserable fuck. I love you. And finally, I want to say, just something about. Chris said the other day that other than his own dick, the dick that he's seen more than any other dick is Dave Brockie's dick. And it's a constant presence, dangling like a uvula. And you're always seconds away from seeing Dave's dick. Yeah. But, I just want to, I want to say something. Dave Brockie loved the people he played music with. He loved the people in War. He loved y'all. He loved me. He loved all of us, and that, you know, Adam said that, and he's absolutely right. And it's a, you know, it doesn't sound strange to anybody who knew him that he loved and was loyal to all of us. And you know, and just before I go, man, on grief, I want my friends to know that I love so much. Let it out. Cry a river of tears. There's not enough tears. Keep crying them. And reach out. Don't let grief get you alone. Okay? I love you all.
We're going to see a video montage of Dave Brockie's greatest hits.